All right. So welcome to the weekly Wednesday coaching call with Omar Pinto and my co-host, Tori Skeen. And I'd like to kick off today's coaching session with Tori. So here's something that I think many of us have possibly thought about. I'm sure it's crossed some of our minds. I'm pretty sure it's crossed my mind at some point. I'm trying to think. I was young once. And I'm trying to imagine what that felt like to want to be just free and on the road and, just kind of tackling the world mano a mano. So Tori has moved out of her apartment and is currently traveling the US and living out of her car. So Tori, what's it been like?
Well, it's been 5 days. 5 days. It's been very interesting. I was up in upstate New York, and now I'm in Western Massachusetts, and it's raining, by the way. So if you hear that,
it's raining over here too.
Yeah. So I stayed at a couple campsites just to get comfortable first. And the first night, and I converted out my whole back. So like I have a bed, I have everything I need. Every sound, I was like, what's that, right? But this has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So I was thinking about buying a van, thinking about converting a van, and I had a friend wanted to sell me his van for a lot of money. And I was like, I already have a car payment. Like before I actually invest in something like big like this, let me go ahead and just try it. Like I have a decent size SUV. Let me just try it. And then if I really like it, I'll buy something bigger. So, it's been very interesting because where I was a couple days ago, I didn't have like any cell service. And so I'd have to like go down this hill to work. I'm like working in a parking lot right now. And it's just been very interesting, like sitting with myself. And so what day was it? I think Sunday, I went on a hike and I really like hiking. I'm like all, crunchy, outdoorsy type person. I went on a hike and I didn't have any cell service. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go on like a little hike by myself. And it's just going to be 1 mile since like, hiking by yourself isn't like that safe. Right. So, and where I'm at, there's like, sometimes there's some bears. Right. And so I was like, walked into the forest and I found the trail on this app I have called All Trails. So, and there's like some poop on the ground. I'm like, oh, is that bear poop? And it's just
there's a bear shit in the woods.
Right.
Sorry.
But my mind, it's just very interesting how like it was fine. It was a mile hike that took me 15 minutes, and I happen to be a very anxious person just in general. So it's crazy how the mind is such a powerful thing, because I think when something's there, oh, it's actually not, like, I'm okay. Oh my God, there's a fucking serial killer. Like, I'm okay. It's, and so like I have things on me like to feel safe too, so like I'm like very well prepared. And it's just interesting how like I've had to get over fears, and like writing is one of my favorite things to do. And so like I've been writing a lot, and the second I get uncomfortable, I pick up my phone. Well, when I picked up my phone, I didn't have cell service. So it's like sitting there and actually being with myself has just been so interesting. And I know for me, like there's a lot of things that I say like, oh, I'm going to work on this, or I need to work on this. But it's stuff that like I'm actually having to force myself to look at, and it's been a really interesting process. And it's only been like 5 days, so and last night I spent the night at a friend's so I could like shower and so I'm spending the night at my friend's again tonight, but and then on Friday I have to get some stitches out. So after Friday I'm gonna head off out west to Tennessee, and that's like my real journey will start. So yeah, that's kind of how it's been so far.
So 5 days, how many showers have you been able to take in 5 days?
Omar. Well,
You're on the road.
I bathed in a river.
Ooh.
That was great.
Was it?
Yeah, it was great. I love it.
Okay.
At one of my campsites, I was in front of a river, and then I bathed at my friend's house. So 2 showers. I have a Planet Fitness membership, so I can go into any Planet Fitness and shower.
Nice.
So,
I like that.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think I'm pretty crazy, but it's okay. I just think I'm on a journey, you know?
Oh no, you're on a journey. Okay. This is quasi psychedelic journey. Okay. So what happens when you don't have cell service and you don't have a home per se, as far as 4 walls, security, that kind of a thing, then your mind is going to start finally being able to communicate with you in a way that it never has before. So as soon as you said, wow, I'm forced to be with myself. And there's so many of us that spend our entire lives completely distracted, preventing us from ever being alone with ourselves. It's the internet, it's the cell phone, it's the Netflix, it's the whatever. It's the refrigerator. I just go into the refrigerator and open the refrigerator. Same stuff that I saw 5 minutes ago. Nothing exciting. 5 minutes later, oh, I'm in the fridge again. So there's all these distractions, and now I can't move very far. I can't even get up in the middle of the night and like just go to the bathroom.
I mean, I can. I have things, you know. I have.
Okay, porta potty.
Yeah. I got like there's
Okay.
there's a female urinal I have.
All right.
I got a bucket with a thing, you know. It's like, so I'm good. Here's my bucket.
This is it's so amazing. It's fascinating. Like as soon as I found out, I was like, I just want to know more, right? Because there's a part of me that, you know, I mean, I can pretty much remember times in my life where I just wanted to run away from home, okay, as an adult, and just like I just want to hide, okay. I don't want to deal with all of the pressures that are currently in my life, right? And so, you know, leading up to this, and we talked about this in one of your. As a matter of fact, I remember us coaching about this, right? Like I just want to get in a van and drive cross country. Okay. Yeah. And so what was really like, we'll talk shit all day long as humans, right? We're constantly threatening to do shit, but you did it. So what was that final like moment where you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do this?
Well, I think for like, I've been the past year and a half, I mean, the past 7 years since I lived in Florida, like I feel like my life has been preparing up till now, because a year and change ago, I moved from Florida to Rhode Island just on a whim. And I drove across the country 5 times back and forth from Florida to Rhode Island. And so I don't think without that, I would have ever felt comfortable like doing something like this. Because that 7 years before that, I was living in Florida, getting sober. And so I think it was just to the point where all of last year, since I moved to Rhode Island, that whole entire year, I was, aside from me traveling, you know, different places, I was in that apartment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I thought to myself, and all I did was work. And for a long, I mean, since I was 24, since my dad died, I have thrown myself into work as a coping mechanism, and I'll overburnt, like burning the candle at both ends, work 12 hours a day. And I'm 29 now. And I thought, before I turn 30, I'm gonna, like, I'm just day in and day out, I'm just in this apartment all by myself, all alone. I'm gonna go experience life and find depth in it, because it's something that, just day in and day out is fine. It's okay. But like, I feel like I'm not getting the most out of what I'm supposed to be getting out of in my life.
Man, I love it. Does anyone have any questions for Tori? This is so fascinating. I love it. And I'm going to be checking in on you, at least every week at the beginning. Right. So anybody have any comments or questions for Tori? Go ahead, Patrick. Yeah, I can't hear you, Patrick. You're not muted, but your mic is.
How about now?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. Wow.
Right.
It reminds me of like an Aboriginal walkabout, where they just get up and leave, and it's not a runaway thing, but you leave to go find yourself. It's a literal journey to go find yourself. So I guess since you've had some good insights, are there any expectations that you found that you might have had that have surprised you in the first 5 days?
I think that I thought I was going to be, I didn't think that I was going to have to like sit with myself, I guess, and have to like face those types of thoughts, I guess, and fears, especially, because sure, I'm an outgoing person, but the last year I've been kind of a recluse. And so it's like, well, why is that, and why, and what is that like for me, is what is it rooted in? Because it always, for me, it goes back to my childhood, right? Being afraid of, like in the corner, my dad's alcoholism, my mom always being worried. And, just like diving in, that is what I have been for the, for the past couple days. And just realizing that like I'm a product of that. So I guess the expectation, in short, like just everything that's needed to come up to the surface, and like realizing that.
I mean, seriously, this is like, therapy on the road, like hardcore, right? Ultimately, we are our own doctors. We are our own healers. And, left, stripped away from all the distractions, we get an opportunity to find ourselves. I love what Patrick was just saying. I want to check this out, like the walkabout, to go find themselves. This is what Aborigines do. Like, it's the most natural thing to do, right? It's just to go, it's time for you to go out and, discover who you are, right? So who else wants to jump in?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Do you have a specific? Are you going like totally across the country, or do you have any idea where you're going to end up, or are you just going?
Well, all my family's in California, so I'm in Massachusetts right now. But I have like friends in Nashville, New Mexico. My nephew's getting married in October, so on the 31st. So I'll be in Vegas. Like, that's my goal, is to be there by October 31st in Vegas.
Love it. Anything else, Paul?
Yeah, if you find yourself near Milwaukee, look me up.
All right.
I don't know if you're coming this way, but
yeah, well, if I enjoy this, I was gonna go up that way like next year. So like up, the top.
No, I just think it's cool. I wish I would have thought of that when I was 29.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I would have bought a Volkswagen bus and just drove around, man. Like just see the country. As a matter of fact, if I think about it, my daughter's 18 and I'm divorced. So she's with her mom. She lives with her mom anyway, but she's an adult. She doesn't need her dad for shit anymore. And my wife and I would just have the fur babies, we could go and we would take the dogs naturally, of course. Hello. But that would be what an adventure. We've actually talked about that. Like, what would that be like? Just get a van and drive. Right now, of course, we're building a fucking castle now. So we probably won't want to leave that for quite some time. But what I love the most hearing about you is I can already feel the depth in 5 days, Tori. Like I can feel it. I hear it in the way you're talking, and you're getting downloads right now that are powerful. And it's been 5 days. I can just I've known you for over a year, and I can feel it just in this 20-minute conversation. I can sense, that there is this knowing, there's this almost like recognition that this is what I needed to do to find myself. It's absolutely beautiful. Anybody else? Anybody else wish they could be doing what Tori's doing? Cool. Yeah, go ahead, Jan. Jump in.
Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. Let me unmute myself.
There you go.
No, Tori, I've got a lot of things I want to run away from at the moment. So I'm not saying you're running away. I'm just saying that, the trips that I've taken and the experiences, what you're doing now, are the things that you will remember in 20 years' time. Not the 12-hour work days or the so you're making the memories for the rest of your life right now. And just be safe, be careful of all those men out there. Be my suggestion to you. Just be careful. But absolutely, I love what you're doing, and hopefully you can sustain it for a while and do all the things that you want to do. I've separated now from my wife, and I find that I'm living in a new place, and the sitting with yourself in the evenings, that's been the most difficult thing. I guess I've been trying to get away from it all my life, is sitting with my own thoughts, and it's now even more amplified. So I get what you're saying. It's but well done. I think it's a very brave and awesome thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's actually funny. My mom was in town last week because I had to have like a little medical procedure done. But she asked me, it was helping me move out of everything, and she asked me what I was running from, and I don't really like have an answer, because I don't know if I am running from anything. I thought about it for a long time, and I think I'm just running to the person that I've wanted to become for a very long time. And so that's the answer that I have. And because really in Rhode Island, I had no attachments there, and so anyway. That's
great.
Ooh, man, that I'm such an empath. I could feel that. I felt that answer. I felt that answer. It's so powerful. This could help a lot of people, Tori. So if you can YouTube it, make sure you, YouTube this shit. There's people living in their, my buddy just sent me a buddy that lives in a van. Okay. He's got 3 million subscribers. Right. And one of the videos is him making beans. So I'm making beans. And so these right here, I got like from the group. I mean, it's like I'm watching this, I'm going, this has 700,000 views. He's making beans. What is the and I'm just like, there's a facet of all of us that it's like this whole thing about running from, you're not just running from, you are running from for sure, but you're also running towards. I'm running from all the bullshit and I'm running towards myself, period. I'm running from this fucking cell phone and from the Instagram and from the Facebook and from the pressures and from the rent and from whatever. And I'm trying to find me. And I can't tell you how many times I ask a client, I'll say, I want you to tell me what feels more accurate to you. Do you feel like you're running from something, or do you feel like you're running towards something? And they sit there and they think for a while, they think for a moment. And 50% of the time they go, I think it's both. I'd be willing to bet money of what the answer I'm going to receive in that moment. Because when you stop to think about it, you recognize that it's both. If you know your emotional destination, are you really running away? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ted, what do you got?
Well, it must be, but well, it was certainly before I was married. So it was at least 45 years ago. I'm an old guy, you know. I was I was working at an exhibits manufacturer, and Vic Morelli said, "Hey, anytime you want to leave, just go right ahead." I was in my mid-20s. He didn't care. As long as I worked, you know, it was fine. I lived in Chicago at the time, and Chicago in the springtime is miserable. It's not sunny, it's rainy, it's lousy. And so one day I decided to go to the southernmost point in the country, which I was under the impression was Key West. So I didn't have a car or anything. I jumped on an Amtrak and I was hitchhiking as well. I went to Key West. Had no place to stay. I had 20 cents in my pocket so I could call my parents every once in a while on a payphone. There's no such thing as cell phones. And I was on the road by myself for a long, long time, in my mid-20s, and met a lot of people. Met a wonderful young woman in Key West with tan lines you would not believe. Excuse me, Tori. Oh, God, did she have tan lines? Oh my goodness. Anyway, from Key West, I hitchhiked up to College Park, Maryland. And along the way in Georgia, I slept on a Chase Lounge poolside at a motel. And the next morning I got up and went to an on-ramp of an expressway in Georgia. It was Easter Sunday, as a matter of fact. And along comes a cop. Well, I've got hair down here. And I thought, oh boy, you know, listening to Neil Young too much, you know, I'm in horrible trouble here. And so the cop pulls over, gets out of his cruiser, comes up to me and says, "You have a better chance of getting a ride if you go right up on the expressway instead of on an on-ramp. You know, there's more cars up there. So why don't you just go up onto the on-ramp and get some more, you know, possibilities." So I did, and that was it. You know, I got picked up by a guy who taught me how to say the word pecan. They're not pecans, they're pecans. I wasn't drinking back then. I was probably smoking dope or something, but I don't really remember. My meal that evening was oranges from an orange grove. And I continued on, and a couple of guys picked me up later on and took me out to dinner, had a steak dinner. In College Park, Maryland, I had some family, stayed there. From College Park, Maryland, I went other places, and ended up in San Francisco, California. Of course, at that point in time, San Francisco really had something going for it. They had a lot of people who were ready to rip you off. Actually, it's a fallacy about flower children in San Francisco. There might have been some flower children, but boy, I didn't meet any. I actually had a curse put on me in the top of the tenderloin in San Francisco. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo put a curse on me, and said that I would have bad luck for the next 7 years. This was a great trip. I would have bad luck for the next 7 years. And I don't recall, I don't think I had anything out of the ordinary happen in 7 years, but it was quite a deal in San Francisco. So that was my story. I stayed out on the road hitchhiking for months on end. And I think the reason that I told myself I was leaving the Chicago area where I lived was because of the weather. I wanted to get to nice sunny weather. And I think that that's what I was, at least at the time, I thought that that's what I was going away from. I learned a lot about myself, of course, spent a lot of time with me. Was scared every single minute. I was scared every minute. I mean, sleeping at a Chase Lounge next to a pool. Oh man, in Georgia yet? Oh God. But actually, I ended up having a great time. I would do it again. If I was in my mid-20s. I've been married for over 44 years now, so I don't think I would go off out on the road. But that's my story.
What if we just circle back to the idea or the concept of finding yourself, right? So I'm either running away from, running towards. Would you say that you found yourself on the road?
I would say that I found out that I was capable of a lot more than I thought. I think I've mentioned to you that I was a very shy kid when I was growing up. Well, how can you be shy and be out on the road for months with 20 cents in your pocket? And I've got to say, when I came home, I had 20 cents in my pocket. So, I mean, finding myself, I knew then that I was capable of more than I thought I was. But certainly when I came back home, that's when the shit hit the fan. But I did learn a lot about myself on the road.
This is so fascinating. So absolutely fascinating. And you would do it again?
If I was in my mid-20s, what the heck? I mean, that's the time to do it. I figured that, I'm not going to do it, later on in my life, when I'm more established, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely do it again. I didn't have any real bad situations. Everything seemed to work out fine for me. I think my guardian angel had his work cut out for him. He was busy all the time, but I definitely was kept safe. So it was cool. It was a good thing. And then you have to figure, okay, just this last weekend, I turned 72.
Wow.
So when I was doing this was during, the hippie times, and heck, I grew up with the Beatles and, so on and so forth. I think that the Haight-Ashbury area was just, on its downslide at that point in time. And, it was a different time. I mean, I probably wouldn't hitchhike again. Hitchhiking was a way of just getting around back then for young people, but I don't think I would do it now.
Yeah, that was my only thought. It's funny because as you were saying that, my only thought was the only thing I wouldn't do is hitchhike. But, getting a van and traveling around and just, stumbling around, figuring it out is part of the fun, right? Is really part of the adventure, is not knowing exactly what's going to happen. The level of uncertainty is magnanimous. It's pretty big.
Well, I have a nephew who's doing what I think Tori is doing. He was on the road in his tricked out van for a couple of years. His guru had told him to do it, and now he's figuring on his second trip to India. So it changed his life. It changed his life doing that. So the best to you, Tori.
I love it. I love it. All right. That's a lot. Paul, anything come up for you? Nothing? You good?
No, I'm such a homebody that I just am living vicariously through Tori and Ted today. So.
Okay, so make sure to follow Tori on Instagram because she's documenting it. Put your Instagram handle in the chat so we can all follow. Well, I'm already following you. You know, this conversation has provoked so many thoughts. Right before I graduated from high school, I bought my first car. It was a 1971 Honda Accord. It was a hunk of shit. I mean, it was, so that was like my first big adventure. I bought this, I said for like $700, I bought this Honda Accord and it ran. And I mean, it was a stick shift, no air conditioning. And I was like crazy. So in the midst of this, my dad, which I can't believe this, but my dad had given me a van. Right. And I would go camping in that thing and my friends loved it. It was like the vehicle, some of my friends called it the Vangina, right? Because, anyway, that's a lot of horrible nicknames, but you can figure it out. Anyway, I was still living at home, so I had a van. It was all good. So anyway, I traded this van in. I went into a dealership by accident one time. So if whoever's listening to this, if you've never been into a car dealership before and you have a car that's fully paid off, don't go in. Don't go in without an adult. Okay. Because I went in and I drove out with a new car. The other one was paid for. And now all of a sudden I drive out with this little tiny 2-door hatchback Nissan NX with no air conditioner again. Okay. I can't even, believe some of the things. I guess I like it hot, whatever. Anyway, I was so mortified by the fact that I drove it out when I had such horrible buyer's remorse, so angry. And I was just cursing out every single car salesman. Like for me, all car salesmen became the spawn of Satan. And I was like, literally, I'm never going to go into a used car. I'm never going to go to a car dealership again, blah, 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 all this crap. But it sent me on a trajectory. Okay. It really kind of fucked me up. And I was really, really angry. And, I'm working and every time I had to pay the monthly payment on the car, I was just like, I hated the car. Right. And so finally, I was living at home. I'm 22 years old, right? I'm way overweight. And guess where I finally decided to get a job at? Car dealership. So I'm working at this car dealership. Not only do I hate car salesmen, now I hate myself. I can't even believe I took this job as a car salesman, right? And I'm struggling. Because I can't close anybody. Everyone that comes in, I just feel terrible for them. Like I can't sell them a car. Right? It was horrible. And so I was doing pretty bad, living in San Luis Obispo. And I decide maybe I need to get the hell out of this little town, this this 2-horse town or something like that. I was living in San Luis Obispo. I packed my car. Tori just reminded me of all this. So did Ted. I packed my car with the only things I have, which is my clothes, because I own nothing else. I'm living with my parents. And I called my buddy from LA and I said, dude, I'm moving down to LA. I have no idea. I got a job working at a car dealership because they hooked me up with a job down there. I just need a place to crash. Come on down. And thus became what began like 3 years of couch surfing. I lived on his couch. Then I lived on my cousin's couch. Then I just kept bouncing around until I finally got a little tiny little shit box apartment in North Hollywood. And when I start to think about that time I've completely forgotten about that, Tori. Completely forgotten. I bet you Ted completely forgot about all that too, right? Like right now, I'm just thinking about, oh, I wish I could do that. I'm like, dude, you did that. You packed up your shit. You moved down to LA. You didn't have anywhere to stay. You were couch surfing. You rented rooms. You lived like a broke college student till you were about 25 years old. And as just crazy as it was, I start to think about how I had to learn to survive. And I learned so much about me. I learned so much about what I could tolerate. I learned about, being afraid, not knowing where I was going to turn to. I remember one time I was like, I got to get out of wherever I was living. And I didn't know where I was going to go to next. And it's really when you figure out, what you're made of. It's really when you find it. So I'm incredibly curious to find out, what happens next, because you've got a lot more personal development under your belt than I ever did going on the road. I was just some kid pissed off, needing to get out of my parents' house, not really happy with myself because I was doing shit that, car salesman. Okay. Like I hated myself. But it did lead to like amazing contacts, meeting like some amazing people, and ultimately led me to Costa Rica. Like if I hadn't done that, it was what really set sail, right? For me to 10 years later from me leaving San Luis Obispo is me moving to Costa Rica, and then a whole nother set of stories, right? Bottom line is sometimes you just got to pack your shit, stick it in the car, and just start driving.
You see what you've started, Tori?
I'm not mad about it. All right.
No.
Tori, I just want to add the Canadians have just opened the border, so you can now cross the border into Canada as well, unless you've got both your shots, of course. But Canada's wide open as well.
I know. I got to renew my passport.
Yeah, because you got to come and see me. Now you're free to come down here, right? So you could spend. Well, no, actually, you got to get your passport before the house is built. When the house is built, then you're coming down.
All right. Canada, Costa Rica, I'm there.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Forgot about Milwaukee.
And I'll just add, Jan is single now, so.
Well, not legally, but yeah. Thanks, Paul. I might be a bit old though. I'm not far behind.
You're on the road anyway, right?
I'm on a journey,
so to speak. Yeah.
And Tori, I live in Ann Arbor, which is close to Detroit, the only place in the United States where you go south to Canada.
Go south to Canada. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's interesting.
Detroit has a little hook to it. So you go south.
I gotcha. Okay. So, Jan, I'm curious.
And what about Alaska? You go south to Canada as well, wouldn't you?
Alaska. I guess you could do that.
I'll drive to Alaska. I went to Alaska a couple of years ago. I'll drive there.
Because you can drive from through where I live, British Columbia, all the way up to Alaska, and that is a beautiful drive, and you will have hundreds of miles of wilderness.
Yeah, the Yukon territory, huh?
Yeah, Yeah, mosquitoes as big as birds.
Oh, all right.
Anyway,
Jan, how long have you been on your own place now?
2 weeks.
Okay. What's been coming up for you?
Are you breaking up, Omar?
What's been coming up for you?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to verbalize it all right now. I think I enjoy being able to escape here, and I feel less stress. I think I don't have that gnawing, I guess, feeling I had when I was still at home. But I think the loneliness, and living with my own thoughts and things like that, having fewer distractions are definitely tough. But also, I think it's necessary for me to place things into their proper pigeonholes and I guess process what's been happening, and what's been happening over the last few years, because I just never really had time to think about it. I think the challenge now going forward will also be the communications with with your other half. And I had one of those instances again today where you misunderstood text messages, and for some reason, the person brought up a date which was supposed, or 17 years ago on this weekend we did this, and I kind of didn't remember that, and I misunderstood it and I responded incorrectly, and that caused the whole chain of events. So it's I guess managing the relationship now in this interim phase to whatever the conclusion is going to be, and also understanding, I guess, where the other person is at, because they're also mourning and they're also thinking about things. But I'm just not trying to live in her head anymore, and trying to understand. I guess I have less pressure on me now to understand things correctly, because I'm a stupid man, I think in simplistic ways. Me hungry, that kind of thing, where the nuance isn't always there, I just know for any relationship, text messages is really not a good thing. Or I think in our case it wasn't.
Yeah, because
I was largely at fault with that. Just the stuff that we read into each other's text messages has been exhausting.
I think whether you're text messaging or whether you're having a conversation, you're going to be reading into it. I think that's just part of where you've been for so long. It's just part of that's the way you've communicated for so long. Is she's reading into what you're saying, and you're reading into what she's saying, and it could be verbal communication, be text message communication, but there is the healing process has not been there for either of you. And now is the time. Now is the time to process in safety everything that comes your way from a different place, because the energy is no longer there. As soon as you shut the phone off, which is another thing that I was going to suggest too. I love what Tori was talking about, is like, I don't have internet. And as soon as I don't have internet, it is impossible for me to connect with all the distractions. So it would be super, super interesting as, a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't know how I can establish a new morning routine. But man, do you have the time now to establish a really solid morning routine? And so I'll tell you a little bit about how I do mine. So I get up in the morning, and it's a battle with little Omar not to go into social media. Right. And so it's almost like, no. If we open up the email or if we open up social media, we're going to get sucked in. Okay. So we have to just commit to the next half an hour. This is our time. And because you're using the phone, it's tempting. Right. So I use the phone, I use the Insight Timer, and I have these very specific morning guided meditations. One is a Kundalini breathing exercise. And then the other one is Wim Hof breathing exercise, because it really helps me. If I'm doing 2 breathing exercises back to back, it really prevents me from going in here because I'm so busy focusing on the breath. So as they're guiding me through the breath, right? So the breathing primes me. And normally when I'm doing the breathing exercises, things will start to pop up. Things will start to come up as I'm breathing. And so what I do is from those 2 breathing exercises, one is 13 minutes, the other one's 11 minutes. So I haven't even gotten to a half an hour. But then what I do is I take 10 minutes and I put on the Insight timer, which has had a little gong in the beginning. But by then I'm ready. Okay. Like I'm cleared, right? I'm primed, I'm awake, and I'm connected to divine consciousness versus connected to the phone or connected to my world. And so I will just put it on for 10 minutes and just be like, okay, what do you want to show me? What do I need to learn? What's the most productive use of my time today? What is it that I need to see? What is it that I'm refusing to see? So I'll just kind of run through maybe a couple of questions, like randomly. I'll just 4 or 5 questions randomly. And then once I've asked the questions, I just wait. Sometimes nothing happens, but most of the times there's something that comes up that it's time for me to unpack. And so ideally you'd have something that you could write down with right next to you and immediately write down what comes up. If you've done 2 breathing exercises, asked some questions, sat in a silent meditation, and something comes up that isn't you forgot to turn off the light in the bathroom, that's what you need to write down. Typically, it's going to be something about maybe you should reach out to this person. A memory will come up about when you first got married or childhood or someone in your life, your kids. Like it could be any number of things. But this is that time right now to disconnect from everything that you know and try and reconnect with yourself. How does that sound?
I absolutely love it. Do you also combine exercise, or is it purely breathing and meditation, or do you have a morning exercise routine like Jocko Willink?
Separate.
Right. Okay.
That's for right now, it's like exercise is such a personal thing. Okay, because some people like to do yoga, some people like to go to the gym, some people like to go running, some people like to go walking. I'll tell you what is. Let's add this in there if you want. One of the reasons why Tori is having such amazing downloads and why the depth of her connection is because she's out in nature. Okay, she's literally out surrounded by source. She's surrounded by source energy. And when you're in a house with, block and paint and, you're not in the forest, okay, then it's an extra added layer that prevents you from really connecting. So if you can get outside, if there's a park. So one of the things you can add in there is just go out and take a walk in nature. And do your best not to listen to any music, at least for like 10 minutes. Like you can listen to music or listen to some kind of background thing or whatever, but consciously for 10 minutes, get out there. People talk about tree hugging and that kind of a thing. But I got to tell you something, when my wife and I were going to buy the house we bought, well, it wasn't even the house. When we were about to buy the land, I walked on the land. I grabbed one of the trees and I said, tell me if this is where we're supposed to be. Tell me if this is our land. And there was this just undeniable, just yes. I'm getting goosebumps right now because I'm actually right there right now. I know the tree, I know the time of day, I know the climate, I know how I felt. I'm just completely reconnected with that moment. And so nature is going to help you tremendously. Paul, you just had a thought.
No, I love that, Omar. I go for my little nature walks every single day, and that time is just precious. I mean, it's just no headphones, just the sound of the birds and the animals and the running water and everything. And we had a power outage here this morning for quite a few hours. So I've been for 4 walks today already. So I can't get enough of it. It's incredible. And I also do agree with the disconnecting part. I purposely do not have an internet connection at home. And it's so nice to be able to get, believe it or not. And I don't even have a smartphone. I just have a little flip phone, little dumb. It has a smart capability. I didn't even get that either. So I just have it in case of emergency. But when I go home at night, it's just, I just totally disconnect, and that feels so good too. So I'm all for that.
Paul, that is incredible. I don't know anyone that doesn't have internet. It's incredible. And a flip phone, right? Like, wow. So I'm curious, because you've probably been doing this for years now, correct?
Oh yeah.
There's no question about it. When you don't have internet, you're only alone with yourself.
Yeah. And I live alone too. So, And
coming from someone, because I have no idea. So you don't have even, like, I'm going to bed surrounded by internet frequencies. So you don't even have any of that. So I'm curious as to, what kind of, I call them downloads, right? Because, you're out of nowhere, something will come up, a thought, a memory, an idea. Especially when you were losing all the weight, because you were going through change, dropping weight, so your focus changed. Was there anything that was coming up for you? Memories, ideas, thoughts?
I was thinking a lot back to about 30 years ago when I was in my mid-20s. I was about 25. I got in the best shape of my life. And I was drawing on that experience quite a lot the last 6 months, just as motivation, knowing that I did this before, so I can do it again. And I got to admit, when I first started this journey, I wasn't sure. I think, Omar, you were there one of the first days we talked.
Yeah.
And you were like, when I told you how much I wanted to lose, you're like, wow, and
oh yeah. It was 50 pounds. I remember it was 50 pounds. I was like, 50 pounds. Wow.
Yeah. And here it is, 75 and still going. So I'd like to lose another 5 to 10 if possible. So I've hit a little bit of a wall, but that's another story. But yeah, it was like clockwork. Every week I was losing like 3 pounds a week, just boom, boom, boom. And that's why I'm a little bit frustrated now that I've hit a little bit of a wall, but you know what? I'm not going to dwindle down to nothing either. So, but I realize I can't keep that pace up forever. But when you get in that loss mode like that, it's a little hard. I'm dealing with the acceptance of I'm not going to keep losing 3 pounds a week. Otherwise I will waste down to nothing. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, I was talking about the thoughts that would come up because you don't have any internet. You don't have anything to disrupt, connecting with self.
Well, that helped. That helped because I do work out at night when I get home. So I think that helped motivate my workouts. was I really had nothing better to do. I wasn't going to go on the internet and sit there for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, I do watch a little bit of TV, but even that, I cut the TV way back to maybe an hour a night. And I just realized that, hey, if I'm going to lose this weight, I got to keep moving. And those endorphins, they really do kick in when you work out. I can't tell you how many nights I sat there and I don't feel like working out tonight, but I just made myself do it. And every time it's like, boy, I was so glad I did that, because that's a natural high. I hadn't felt that in like 30 years, where those endorphins were just kicking in like crazy. And I didn't think it was possible at my age to go through this again. Like I said, I was 25 the last time I did this, and it seemed like a lot easier, even though I was in my alcohol addiction at that time. So I don't have that holding me back now either, which is awesome.
Incredible. So you were able to channel your younger self.
Yeah, and I do, and I literally do feel at least 20 years younger. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, this is the power of minimalism. I have a hard time pronouncing it, but minimalism, right? There is, if you look at threads, either on Instagram, it's a very simple thing, like 6 months challenge. Only drink water, exercise a half an hour a day, cut your TV time to half an hour a day, something like that. Like, it's basic stuff. Stop eating processed foods. It's all these very, very basic things that, make sense to most of us, like, duh. Okay. But who really sticks to that regiment, right? Like, in one of my meditations this week, it was Monday, my Monday morning meditation. I was sitting in my Monday morning meditation. And you know what came up to me? You know what? I had a vision of my mind that came up to me. It's the most, you'll never guess it, because no one would guess this. It was I visualized the salad. This vision of a bowl of salad appears in my meditation, like it's clear as could be. And this little voice that said, remember when you used to make like really kick-ass salads? Remember that? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Might be time to start making some of those. And that was it. That was the meditation.
I will say I do eat a salad every day instead of a donut or a cookie. That helps a lot.
My wife and I have had a salad every day since Monday. Like, here's the thing. I got out of my meditation, and from the meditation, I went straight to the grocery store. Well, it was too early because it was morning meditation. But as soon as the grocery store was open, I was like, honey, I'm going to the grocery store. She's like, what? It's like 7 a.m. Yeah, I'm going to the grocery store. I need to get salad stuff. She goes, oh, thank God. Go. Yeah, go get it, right? And so we've been eating salad every day. And it's like, wow, I can't believe how great I feel. I feel more energized. I feel like I've done something good for myself. Didn't matter what else I eat, right? It doesn't matter what else I throw into it, because I'm not on a diet. I've cut all of that whole extremism out of my life. And it was like, just going to do something healthy for myself every day. So I make sure that I at least have one of these filled with water, lemon juice, and Himalayan sea salt every day, at least one. If I do 2, whatever, but at least one. This is number 2. Then 1 salad this week. This has just been this week. 1 salad a day, and exercise twice this week, right? Anything above that is a bonus, but that's it. That's it. And so far, it's just been like, wow, I can't believe how good I feel. All of this, ultimately, when it boils down to at the end of the day, is if I can get to a place where I can be alone with myself for at least 10 minutes. And if that includes, I have to breathe my way into it, but I can find that space to where I am primed and ready for 10 minutes of silence, I'm going to get some direction. It happens every single time. Ted, you unmuted yourself. Did you have something to say?
Sort of. Sunday was my 72nd birthday. and my wife bought me a box of Godiva chocolates.
Ooh.
And when I am alone with my Godiva chocolates, I'm a very happy man.
I love what you said there. Alone. These are mine. All right. Any final thoughts from anyone?
I just want to add one quick thing, Omar. A
Bring
lot
it
of
on.
people, a lot of people have been asking me, about how I've been able to do this and everything. And I just, my stock answer is that I treat this like I treat my alcohol recovery. I have to keep it in the forefront of my mind, at least in the morning, anyway. When I do my little gratitude practice every morning, I always include, the weight loss as part of it. And I really truly do look at this as like a lifestyle change, not just a diet or just a stage I'm going through. I really hope to keep this up for life like I do with my alcohol recovery. So just trying to make it second nature.
I don't see why not, Paul. I don't see why not. I remember when I got in the best shape of my life, my motto used to be, nothing tastes as good as thin feels. I almost had t-shirts made. So I'll let you have that one. All right. Anybody else? Huh?
For those Godiva chocolates, maybe, right?
Ooh, that sounds so good. All right.
I just wanted to give gratitude, and stealing a page from Paul. This made me realize in our younger years when we went on these walkabouts, for some of us, we got a chance to find ourselves and find our strengths. But I also turned to other coping mechanisms too, because it was such a rigorous journey. And I want to say I am thankful now for the work that you have helped me put in, and this group has helped me put in, that we can really enjoy this inner journey, whether it be making space for ourselves in the evening or in the morning, or picking our stuff up and going cross country, or, finding a new living situation. The inner journey and the tools that we have put in and turned away from our other coping mechanisms, I'm so thankful for. So I just wanted to say that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Best of luck, Tori, and I hope you sooner or later find your Subaru.
Tori, any final thoughts? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. We're all here for you, and we all have space for you when you need it.
Thank you.
All right, look at what we started here with Tori on the road. I love you. All right, I love you all. All right, see you guys next week.